Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Farm for Profit Podcast. This is normally Tanner's job, but he is off doing other stuff, and he left Dave and I to do all of the work.
Going rogue at the John Deere booth here at Commodity Classic 2025.
Listeners, we always love when you engage with us. Please go leave a comment. Please go leave a review, 5-star review on wherever you're listening to this at.
What's the phone number?
515-207-9640. You can call or text us as well. Those goes right to Tanner's phone.
Yep.
So do it like in the middle of the night.
Leave 5 stars. We don't care whatever you say.
Yep. So today we're going to be talking soybean herbicides, and particularly new soybean herbicides, with a couple guys from Corteva, and one of them might look a little familiar. Eric Scherder, and then we got Drake. How do you say that?
Robards.
Robards. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
Have you been in Denver all week?
About 24 hours.
24 hours. All right. Good show so far?
Yeah, so far so good.
All right.
Yeah.
Eric, I'm sorry we don't have any bourbon this time for you.
He had plenty last night.
He did? Okay.
Got to support the local businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. A little stimulus package.
A fellow Central Iowa guy.
Yes. So it lives in your town.
In our town,
Yep. So not too far. And I got so many texts from your show, Eric, about how did you get Scherder on the podcast?
Well, I figured today we're at the John Deere booth, folks, and I figured Dave was just at the end was going to auction off equipment.
Yeah.
The shipping charge is so high, he could just kind of double serve here.
Dave could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if
good
you
gig.
can say numbers that high. Can you say numbers that high?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you sell land.
For sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, in case guys didn't catch your show, Eric, let's go and get a little background about you guys. Start with Eric. Who you are, where you from?
Yep. Eric Scherder, Corteva Agriscience, about 18 years. I'm our U.S. crop protection technical lead. So I work across all our portfolios, help folks like Drake here launch new products, work with those teams behind the scenes, bringing new concepts forward, working with our sales teams. Real enjoyable job.
Okay. Drake, what about you?
Well, I get the pleasure of working with Dr. Scherder every day, so I don't even know if I need to introduce myself.
So is he your boss?
No. But I don't need that. No, I'm Drake Robards. I'm the U.S. portfolio marketing leader for soybean herbicides at Corteva. So I'm from Champaign, Illinois, so right in there. Went to the University of Illinois. Proud of that. This is going on my 7th year at Corteva, and I work with Scherder and his folks to make sure we launch products into the marketplace that are needed. We do it the right way, steward the Enlist technology, and have a good time while doing it. So it's good to be here.
And where are you based out of now?
Indianapolis.
To another I state.
Mm-hmm. Is it? It is.
Do we have problems with I-states?
No, just all agriculture. I feel like everybody here is from an I-state somewhere.
That's where all the
just
good corn comes from.
Except for Keneally. We just saw him in Nebraska. So.
Yeah.
But he's right on the border.
It's like the next best thing.
Yeah.
Farmers, you do it all, so should your technology. Level up your equipment with the latest innovations from Ag Leader.
From Sure Force downforce control and Sure Speed high accuracy planting to right spot individual nozzle control, Ag Leader has you covered.
And now, with the new In Command Go displays, you get unparalleled visibility and control, keeping critical information at your fingertips. Upgrade today and reap the benefits this season.
Visit agleader.com or contact your local Ag Leader dealer to get started.
So, soybean herbicides. What do we need to know? Where do we need to start?
Probably with what's new,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So we've been busy. 24 leading into 25 was a busy year for us in the soybean portfolio. Excited to launch 3 all in one kind of calendar year. So one of them had been a little bit more long time coming, but filled some gaps in the portfolio. Corteva is really committed to investing in the soybean herbicide portfolio. So took advantage of that. We launched Enversa, which is a post-emergent residual, and we can talk more about that. And then 2 new pre-emergent liquids in the way of Sonic Boom and Kyber Pro.
Okay. Well, let's start off with, naturally a pre would probably be the great way because we're coming into planting season here. It's very important to start clean, right, with your soybeans. I feel like as a farmer, some of our biggest challenges with weeds is always in soybeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Eric, I'll let you, maybe I'll ask the question to you. So Sonic Boom, Kyber Pro, they're both liquid pre-emerges, both target at the soybean market. what's the big differences in those two for you?
Yeah, and Corey, I think you hit it right. When you think about our challenges, regardless of commodity, okay, sticking with corn, soybeans, the corn portfolios in general, I think we do a pretty good job. There's always room for improvement, but we tend to struggle more with beans. Where we've really brought in Kyber Pro, Sonic Boom, it really comes back to that camp philosophy. Some folks like a Valor-based pre-emerge program. Some people like a sulfentrazone or authority-based program. With Kyber Pro, you're bringing that Valor-based program in there with pyroxasulfone or Residual, and we're bringing metribuzin, really long-lasting residual. You think about that northern market, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kosher country, excellent product there. Gives you a little more flexibility, I would say, from that burn down up to pre-emerge, that long-lasting residual. I mean, you all farm, you get so many days to spray. You had good intentions of getting out there. Mother Nature didn't cooperate. Having that residual gives you a little more freedom there. Or you can go down the Sonic Boom route, which there's, again, a different reason why you go that route. But bringing in sulfentrazone and metribuzin. For a lot of your audience out there in the late 80s, 90s, we used a lot of Syncor, metribuzin back in the day. Our breeding programs have come a long way. Tolerance is a lot better. We're also not trying to rely on metribuzin to do all the lift, so we've backed that rate structure down. Something a little more manageable, but we're bringing that mode of action back. You're seeing it more and more in the industry.
All right, Eric, I got to dumb this down because I didn't understand a word.
Dave just started farming last
year. And it went so far over my head. Like, okay, you said there's 3 new things this year, okay? So of that, you just explained a lot of big words that I missed every one of them. Dumb it down for me. What does that do pre-emergent for my soybeans this year?
You start with a clean field.
Yep.
So weeds are most vulnerable before they ever get out of the ground. So when you start, fresh year, out of the gate, start with Kyber Pro, start with Sonic Boom, get those out there, then you start planting, and then you come back in season with.
So we would have had that though, 5 years ago. So what's new with this?
With Kyber versus Kyber Pro?
Yeah, so you said there's something new here. I mean, we were killing weeds 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So is there something that I'm missing?
So, several things here. So you're always looking for improvements in products.
Okay.
Okay. So modes of action, a different mode of action brings you a level of control.
Game on.
Okay. Convenience. Do you like liquids versus dry products? Liquids are a lot easier to handle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's a value proposition back to a grower. It's like going back to the days, Dave, of structured refuge. Now, I know you've not been farming long, but I'm pretty sure you don't want to go back to those days.
No.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yep.
So bringing that convenience factor, that's what we've done with Kyber
Okay.
Pro and Cyber, bringing you more convenience from handling, but really basing, as Drake said, off sound principles so that you're getting good season-long weed control there. That's what we're trying to do, is really amp up our multiple modes of action.
Very good.
Instead of you having to try to think about what to put in the tank and in the cocktail, we've already pre-made it for you.
I just call somebody like him and have him do it.
Well, I mean, as we spray, packaging products together, new formulations really helps, because especially in soybeans, I feel like when we're spraying post, man, I'm sometimes putting 6, 7 products in, and I can't get everything in before the sprayer's full, so it's really nice to have that convenience.
How do you know, I'm thinking pharmacist, my dad takes 20 pills and it drives me nuts. How do we know in spraying that product will work with Sonic Boom, will work with, how are we not a pharmacologist here?
Yeah, so we put out information on what weeds are suppressed versus what weeds are controlled, and the certain different active ingredients in these products.
Okay.
Target different types of weeds, whether it's broadleaves or grasses. So we train our sales team, and then they go out, they sell it to retailers, they sell it to farmers. So that education comes from our team down into what do these products control, what do they suppress, and when do you need to apply them, and at what rate.
Right.
Dave, the other thing that you brought up is we get some witches brews out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and we do a good job. I know Drake and I spend a lot of time with our formulation chemists of, hey, these are your key driver products that we're going to tank mix and this micronutrient. And, not that we get every combination ever tested before we launch, but we try to do our due diligence to make sure that, we want a retailer to have a good experience. We want that grower to have a good experience. And if we can head off those problems before they're a problem, that's a good day.
Yep. It's a big chemistry experiment. And there's something, obviously, if you're putting multiple products in, some things can react to other ones or make one not work as well. So you got to be cognizant of all that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So sticking with the pre's here, let's talk like a typical Midwest corn soybean rotation. Which one would I be using in like a full tillage program versus a no-till?
Well, so, and think about it this way too, folks. We have brand ladders. Okay. Just like, if you're a Ford guy, Chevy, doesn't matter. There's different stage gates in there, different price tags.
Yep.
Okay.
Kyber, for rough math here, about a third of the market is a premium category. So that'd be like a Kyber Pro.
Okay.
About a third of the market's a mid-tier category. That's Sonic Boom. Then the lower third, that's more of your, I'm going to call it one mode of action style product.
Right.
Okay. So there's a price tag there, but you also get bells and whistles with, as you spend more, you're getting more features, more benefits.
I got you.
Okay. So both of those products can go in a clean till situation, but typically if you're saying I'm a more conventional till, I'm going to lean more towards Sonic Boom.
Okay.
Just by nature. Okay. Now Kyber Pro can work there, absolutely. But one of the reasons farmers like Kyber Pro is the flumioxin in there. It's that Valor that gives you the burn down. You got a cover crop, throw a little glyphosate in there, maybe a little 2,4-D. You got a really powerful burn down and residual all in one pass.
Yep.
So again, depending on what you're going after and price point will kind of dictate some of that.
When you say mode of actions, I'm thinking weather patterns, and I'm thinking my ground's wet, his is not. Is that where we step up to the better tier, to the pro version or something that maybe we have a different mode of action that gives me a cleaner field?
We can't control the weather, so I mean, either product will work in dry conditions. I mean, obviously you want the optimal weather whenever you're going to do these applications. So I would say it doesn't matter if you're having a wet spring or a dry spring. Sonic Boom or Kyber Pro will still work. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and how much you're trying to spend.
Are you guys seeing more pre's used in soybeans as a whole?
Yeah. I would say in general, it's kind of been interesting. Everything ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
With glyphosate days, it was all we could do to get a pre in the tank.
Yeah.
After that, but I think a lot of farmers have realized, glyphosate, it depends on where you're standing. It either kills grasses or it's a good surfactant or it still may kill some broadleaf.
Right.
Well, everybody's starting to realize we've got to have our pre's.
Yeah.
Because once we get past pre-emerge and you look at what you're applying in soybeans post, that's a pretty limited arsenal of products.
Right.
There's just a handful of modes of action. And that's why we rely so heavily on our pre's in soybeans. So,
and one of the phenomenons that's come around in the last 7-8 years, and I've done it on my farmers, we're planting soybeans first.
Yes.
In a lot of cases.
Yep.
And that's almost, I feel like it's almost hurting our weed program because we're asking it to control for so much longer.
Yeah, when you think about it, there's reasons why we've done that. Seed treatments. Think about our seed treatments today that we didn't have 15 years ago. It's allowing you to plant earlier. Better genetics, better germ, all that's getting these products up. But what farmers forget is I've used 3 or 4, maybe a month off the clock before it really even got up to V1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to adjust that rate to compensate for what I've already used up.
Yeah.
So we try to have those conversations. I know Drake works with a lot of our sales districts around the United States, trying to educate. We try to give as much flexibility as we can, but there's always limitations.
And we're always trying to take feedback from the field too, from the commercial team, from our growers, from our retailers to tell us what they need. Like what is the market signaling? What is the demand for these certain products? We just don't sit in headquarters and kind of dream up what we think is right. Mm-hmm. We do take the feedback directly from the folks that work with growers, work with retailers, and that's how we come up with these combinations and launch those products to try to fit the need of the day.
How are you guys, maybe a loaded question here, Corey, but with all commodity prices down last year, you were talking, you were trying to take direction and make new things and make it go. Is that ever come into play that like, man, it's just tougher out there, the sentiment of farmers, a little tougher? Are they going to have the money to put this in? Because they're making tough decisions here the last year and into the next.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Scherder was talking about there on mid-tier, low-tier, high-tier products. It's important that we have options for different tiers of growers, what they're willing to spend. I don't really, if you're looking at $3 corn or $7 corn,
correct,
$12 beans, whatever it is, you're still going to have weeds out there, and managing resistance is going to be important no matter what the economy is doing. So I think there's certain things in a weed management program or just an operational management program that need to be a focus, and weed control management should be a pillar of that.
And you think about look at some of our operations today. They're 5, 6, 7, 8,000 acres, over 4 or 5 counties. Mm-hmm. Do you spend, and I'm just making up numbers here, $60,000 to have a person run around and try to manage that weed control program? and try to save money on the herbicide, or do you just go up to maybe a more premium program that you know is going to give you longer lasting residual, all that? So there's different ways to manage, so depending on your operations, and everybody's a little different. So that's why what we try to do is build as many options as we can out there.
And at the end of the day, you're paid off yield, and the more weeds you have out there, potentially the less yield you can have. And we do put products out there that have great crop safety too. So at the same time, we're trying to manage weeds and resistance, but we're also trying to boost yield in the process.
Yeah. What kind of length can we expect for residuals to hold?
Tell me what's going to rain.
I know there's a lot of factors. I know there's a lot of factors.
With Kyber Pro, that's probably that was one of the products when we launched Kyber originally, and our customers loved it. To be quite honest, it had a formulation issue, and that's one of the reasons why it just didn't meet our standards. So we had to pull it back. But every time we did a field day, I got questions. Hey, when you're bringing that product back, the weed control was excellent. Just residual length of control was great. And we say 6 weeks minimum usually for that. I've had it last up to 8 weeks, no problem, and not have an issue. With Sonic Boom, now it's being more of a traditional pre. We're not going out pre-plant, so we're looking at more of 4 to 6 week residual there. Again, you're trying to balance everything. We're weed control here without having carryover concerns, because some crops you're looking at that next crop, that fall crop in certain parts of the world. So it's a balancing act.
Yep. So we've covered pretty good. We've got past our residual. Now we're on to post. What are we looking at for new products there?
Yeah, so Enversa, it was a huge launch for us. We commercially announced the name of Enversa back in early 2023, and that was, after a decade's worth of testing, at research trials, university trials, to make sure that we had a great product that fit Corteva standards. So Enversa is our post-emergent residual product that we launched. And you want to talk about demand. We have seen incredible demand for Enversa. There's a lot of excitement out there. I know we're talking about soybean herbicides here today, but Enversa plays on cotton, sorghum, corn, sugar beets.
Oh, really?
Even outside of even the expanded corn belt, you get down south with the cotton belt down there. So Enversa is a huge market. It's a huge opportunity for Corteva, and ultimately it's a huge opportunity for the Enlist franchise, which Eric is very close with, as we're positioning Enversa to be that tank mix partner of choice, to make sure we're stewarding the Enlist technology and providing it some bodyguards to keep that technology
That's
strong.
probably 4 weeks or so
After
for residual weed control activity in
After
Enversa.
pre?
Yeah. For post. Once you put it on in post, how long
does
will
it have
last?
does it have a residual?
It's got a residual, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
I would think so.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And what is Enversa? I mean, break that down.
So that's basically it's an encapsulated acetylchlor.
Okay.
Okay. The reason we encapsulate that product is this: if I were to go out with not encapsulated acetylchlor, I would fry your beans. I would absolutely. There would be no doubt that we sprayed.
Yep.
So the encapsulation gives you the crop safety. Now, it's a group 15. I know Dave's already gone over his head over there. I can see it. That means it's a soil residual product. We don't control anything post-emerge with Enversa. It is only about residual control.
Okay.
So that's why it makes, as Greg was saying, a good tank mix partner with that Enlist 1, glufosinate, glyphosate.
Yeah, so you're still relying on the Enlist.
You still got to kill what's
family.
out there, but we're giving you that residual to get you to canopy closure.
Right, and I mean, in 30-inch beans, that's hard, especially if it's been cool and wet.
Yes, 30-inch
Sometimes
beans.
feels like
It takes a
they're never getting
long.
there.
Yes.
So
Is there anything in the names? This is just me thinking outside the box, like Kyber Pro or Enversa or Sonic Boom makes sense. We're going to kill something, but is there a reason they put a name on the product?
So what we typically do, we go into a room and we get some bourbon and darts.
I love it. All right.
And we just start throwing in whatever letters come up. We got to make a word.
yeah,
That's how we act.
kind of sounds like the government on some of their stuff.
No, it's there is some rhyme or reason.
Okay.
There is some rhyme or reason to all that. You think about Enversa, think about versatility.
Okay.
You think about what we're trying to bring, that in-season versatility for residual control.
Encapsulation.
Encapsulation. Okay. Very good.
Kyber Pro is product performance, proven residual, things of those nature. There's some method to the madness.
So do you think that is, by putting that Enversa in, you're going to eliminate the need for having to come back in with a third pass?
There's never a guarantee.
Right.
But that is the whole reason why we're trying. And you think about what's going on here. The clock started ticking when you put your pre on. That residual's every day starting to decrease from your pre. So what we're doing is, in season, we're going to reset the clock. It's back to full capacity again, and it starts to degrade again. Now, depending on when you get canopy closure and all that, will dictate were we successful.
Yes.
But if we get cool weather, slow growing, all those things start to degrade herbicide, and beans ain't growing as well.
Yep.
So
I've got a question here just for my own operation. Say we planted May 15th, so a little bit later for what we normally do. Our pre's holding really good. We've always kind of sprayed off of timing because a lot of times you want to spray really small weeds, right? But is there a point where the plant, that soybean is too much, has flowers on it, like that I should be concerned with, like safety?
So in general, most products have an R1 or cutoff.
Okay.
That we're typically using, maybe up to R2 would be about the latest you're going to see for most herbicides.
Yep.
But the challenge is, and you're right, when we start hitting stuff really small, that's easy to kill.
Yeah.
It rains for 4 days and it's 70 to 100 degrees out, and all of a sudden you come back and that water hemp is 6 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going, oh heck.
Yeah.
And that's why when you try to hit them small, you're buying yourself time. Because you may get across, what are you going to get across a day, Corey? 300 acres, 200 acres?
I could probably, if I had everything set up, I could probably do 700.
700, okay.
With a 120-foot boom.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So you're rolling pretty good.
Yeah.
But now, can you get across everything you need to do in a week with the weather,
Well,
the Mother
that's
Nature?
the thing. Yeah, you never know with the weather.
So that's why adding these residuals, starting early in some fields, by the time you get to your last field, you might be playing catch
it's
up.
kind of like an insurance policy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that; it's you're trying to minimize and wear down your seed bank.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the game. If you can kind of wear that down and keep the weeds at bay, a lot, if they're on the surface and we're not plowing like we did 50 years ago, we're not reburying them.
Yep.
A lot of these degrade pretty quick. In 2 or 3, 4 years, we'll see a lot of just mortality, not germination, and that's positive for you as a farmer.
Yep. Yep. No, I've noticed that. We've picked up some farms here and there, and you can tell they just had a different weed program.
Yes.
You
Yep.
come and like, oh boy, we better.
Well,
pay
they
attention.
saved too much on their weed control program.
We better pay attention here, So it could get a little hairy,
Yeah.
real hairy, real quick before,
Yeah.
and then at some point you just lose and you got to get the iron out.
Yeah.
And that's no fun.
No.
But we've all been there.
You know how we were talking, gentleman we met that was, if I'm using the right word here, decimating his beans at the end so they all...
Desiccation.
Desiccation, right, at the end so that he could go in and combine them. They were all the same moisture. You were talking that would burn it if it wasn't encapsulated. Could we use it non-encapsulated to burn it down so that we could...
I'm guessing there might
no,
be
because that'd be off label.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Just kind of...
You follow label, Dave.
Yeah.
All right.
No, and you're right though. We've all seen there's the last couple of years, especially in Central Iowa, we've had a lot of green beans out there.
Yeah.
It just didn't want to dry down. So
do you guys get privy to the information of like how much herbicide for soybeans are going out the door? Like, do you feel like acres are going to be up or down because of that? Do you ever get that kind of information?
Not in time enough to do any good.
Yeah.
Not in time.
What's your
always
thoughts?
too late.
I
Well,
think
I
corn's
was
gonna
just
be
going to say,
heavy this year.
Dave's is his second year farming, and he's going to be corn on corn.
Yep.
Right? Because it's hard to pencil beans at all, at these prices. So I wouldn't let
Well, and then you start playing the game. So if I'm thinking this way, is everybody else thinking that way? So maybe I go the other way.
This is farmer game theory. I saw
Yes.
it on
Yes.
X last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it all goes out the window when the first planter rolls.
Yeah.
And we got to go plant.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Well, somebody was telling me, even with anhydrous, that the co-op had already sold like 130% of what they thought they were going to sell. So they're like, yeah, it's 130% going to be overboard
Yep.
with corn.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the economics, depending on if you're rented ground, all that, beans going to be a little tougher this year. Yeah.
Yep.
So what are we missing on new soybean herbicides? Anything?
I think we covered it. I mean, we're not done yet. Certainly with Corteva, as you look out towards the end of the decade, even 2 years from now, we can sit up here and talk about what's new and what's coming next. We still got to create some funny names that nobody can pronounce.
Right. Well, I mean, we need Enlist to hold. We talked about that in Eric's show. We need it to hold for quite a bit longer, right?
Yep.
Before the next.
Well,
thing comes.
and Drake's hitting on a point is, a lot of what we've done, and this is what I think a lot of the audience don't realize. You start getting these 2- and 3-way mixes. For most people, if I said there's 3 modes of action, they would think there's 3 modes of action, maybe a carrier, and that's it. That's a formulation.
Right.
Well, in reality, there's maybe 30 different products in there
Okay.
to keep it to do everything you need it to do. Stable, formulated, shelf life. A lot of these are water-based products. So we got microbial degradation products in there, so we don't get algae and stuff. There's a lot of complexity to these. So with new formulations, we can bring new value props to that you didn't have 5 years ago.
Right.
And bring new modes of action in.
And that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
We had stuff back then, but there's new value proposition.
Where have you guys been?
We just got back from the Custom Harvesters event where operators from across the country couldn't stop talking about Steinbauer performance modules.
Yeah, they're seeing up to 25% more power, better fuel efficiency, all with smarter injector duration and not altering the rail pressure for safe and reliable performance.
If you're looking to maximize your machine's potential, go to steinbauer.us and tell them Farm for Profit sent you to get yours today.
Do you guys have a favorite product right now?
Oh.
So think across Corteva.
That's like asking what's your favorite kid.
Right? What is the favorite product?
No matter what you do, you're going to make the other two mad. I don't know. I mean, I think, Drake, when you think of your soybean lineup, it's hard because you go north, south, east, west, and we have so many different products that fit for a lot of reasons.
Cotton would be completely different than corn.
Yeah, but when you talk about Enversa and the demand that we've seen and the excitement from our field sales team and the crops that it works on and what it's labeled on and the geographies that it will play in, there's a lot of excitement around Enversa. And again, we talk about stewarding that Enlist technology. Enlist franchise is a huge pillar of Corteva here in the U.S. business. And I would say quickly behind that would be Enversa. So we're really excited about Enversa. But again, we want you to start with clean field. So Kyber Pro and Sonic Boom are not to be forgot about.
So Dave, you may not know this, but there really hasn't been that many new chemistries that have actually come to the market. It's a lot of just formulation of older ones. Is there anything new coming?
There's a few, and I should say, at least in corn and soybeans, our Midwest crops, we've had a lot of new modes of actions, whole new AIs and cereals and other commodities around the globe. The challenge I would say we have here is we can find modes of action. We can find a new AI. Can we make it sure can we get it registered?
Yeah. You guys got any field days this summer showing this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
People come out and kind of see, touch, walk the field?
Yeah, always reach out to your local retailer, local sales rep. There's a lot of field days local. We may not have everything in every flavor under the sun, but there's always some of the local products, local rates, concepts there.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I'm 15 minutes from Johnston.
Yeah.
So I feel like I get down there once a summer and get to see all the new stuff. And
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We'll bring Dave down, you know.
It'd be fun.
We'll do a remedial session with you, man. We'll help you out.
There you go. It's interesting. You can be involved in agriculture because I've been in agriculture for 20 years now, and more on the cattle side and less in the row crop side and selling equipment, auctioneering, land, etc. And there's just so much you don't know that you don't know until you have to do it. So until you have to put this product on, and so we always talk on the podcast, so Farming for Profit, how do you do it? It's all about trusted advisors. And so when you think of who you pick as your trusted advisor, whether it's Corey or Corteva or whoever it may be, I think every young person, and that's why I say the dumb questions, because there's a lot of guys that listen to our podcast that are getting into it, and they don't know what they don't know yet. And I don't know yet.
Well, first off, there is no dumb
deep.
question. Because the game we're playing is a high-dollar game. Even when you got good people around you, doesn't mean everything is going to always work. So there's never dumb questions, but you hit it. You've got to surround yourself with people you trust. Things don't always go right. That's okay.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can learn from it. Hopefully not repeat that mistake again. That's why we're here. That's why we're our sales reps. That's why we have agronomists. That's why we have our market development specialists out there, folks like Drake and I trying to make sure we get good products out the door.
That's the easiest way to learn. I had a big old mistake last year. Kind of accidentally sprayed twice on fungicide.
He was off label. It wasn't your fault though.
Yeah,
it was on some fungicide.
Yeah.
On a.
I called him. I said, "What do I need?" He said, "Well, this or this."
I told him to price 2 different fungicides, and the drone operator just put them both on.
Yeah, they'll take my check.
But were they healthy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were probably still green in December.
we were. So you learn these lessons, you won't forget it.
That's right.
He sent me the bill. He's like, "Is this right?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no."
Yeah,
that's
it's
not,
right.
That's right.
Now you understand why you got that ham at Christmas from the drone operator.
That's why you have to be thorough and get. That's why details matter.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
But that's why guys listen here is because I like to go to coffee. I listen to all the old guys at coffee. We have a segment called What's Working in Ag. I want to know what worked for you and for you, Drake, and for you, Corey, because if you're good, you'll listen and absorb that before you make the mistake. So
absolutely.
That's my hope anyway. So that's why I ask a lot of those more simplistic questions. But
I love it. I know, and people write in all the time. I love Dave's questions because I never would have thought that you guys would have talked about that.
300, 400 vendors here, and we, even stopping at booths like, what's that do? What's that do? And a lot of people in agriculture. It's a big community here. But what's that do? What's that do?
Dave, you're right. I mean, you walk around here, and we've been doing ag for as long as you all have. There's 50% of this I have no earthly idea.
Yeah.
It is so complex today with this machinery.
That's from a seasoned pro.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, it's just you have to have trusted advisors.
You
right?
do.
You got to surround yourself with good people and people you have faith in.
And you want to be baffled anymore? Go out to Tulare, California, to the World Ag Expo.
Yeah.
And then you just walk around a Midwestern
high
boy's
value
like,
crops.
Holy cow!
Small equipment, automated,
Oh,
everything.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
what
cool.
makes it fun.
Yep.
Makes it fun.
The
Well-
people are agriculture, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, if people want to find out more, is there a website that can explain all this stuff?
Yeah, probably the boots on the ground. So your local retailer can hook you up with your local Corteva sales representative that support all of our products. They are the local experts, and there's always corteva.com/soybean herbicides. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, guys, thank you. I know you got a busy schedule here at the show,
Yep.
and we'll probably be over at the booth here. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but I know we'll be heading over there and probably see you there. So
Very
until
good.
next time, have a good one.